Okay, so we're officially live.
We're live, dude, in
From
New York City. The Big Apple is what they used to call it. I don't know if that's still true.
the city that never sleeps. What other generic names can we come up with right now?
Is it the city that never sleeps as well?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. I feel like that's a lot of cities.
Yeah.
Welcome,
all right,
Thomas.
well-
Are you excited? You've had quite the
am.
week.
Crazy week. Yeah. Very culminated in an event here
Yes.
last night. We're at the 137pm Cafe. Where are we? Greenwich Village? West Village. In West Village, Lower Manhattan. We got to jump over to Queens here right after this, where we're going to do some rehearsal for tomorrow's Major League Pickleball Draft reveal show.
Which is going to be announced by us. We are working with Major League Pickleball.
Yep.
Us, the voices of pickleball, will be voicing the reveal of the entire Major League Pickleball draft for this
We will.
upcoming season of Major League Pickleball. Super stoked.
Yep. So we're preparing our analysis, trying to think of interesting people, things to say about all the people who will be drafted. We found out that one player, can't say her name yet, likes sparkling water. How's that for a fun fact?
It's
We'll
very
see if
fun.
we'll see if we bring that up on tomorrow's show, or maybe we go with something else.
Thomas, I want to go through your week here in New York because
Yeah.
I was a little jealous.
It's been
and
a crazy week.
I tried to come out. So, Major League Pickleball, Steve Kuhn, right?
Yep.
Got to ring the bell, the opening bell at the New York Stock Exchange.
Yep.
Major League Pickleball set up a pickleball court
Uh-huh.
in a conference room at the Stock Exchange.
In the boardroom.
In the boardroom. And in the videos, you see like 20-foot ceilings,
It's
marble,
crazy.
gold, just exactly like,
It's crazy.
and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And you were there in person.
Yep.
How did that go? Like, were you on like a list? Did you have to like go through security? Because I know it's
Yeah.
hard to get on the floor now, right? Like,
Yeah.
people used to back in the olden days
Mm-hmm.
just go in as a tourist and go in and look around. You can't do that anymore. You
Right.
have to have clearance.
Yeah. So we had to go through 2 security gates.
Yeah.
We were sort of funneled into this small room, which I think was underneath the trading floor.
Okay.
And then once we had like quorum, if you will, so like all the people that
12.
were going to be involved, we went over to an elevator that took us up to a room, walked down a hallway, and there we were in this massive, like, grandiose ballroom / boardroom.
Okay.
But it was essentially like the epitome of what you would expect the epicenter of finances, like, of the world's boardroom to look like. It was massive. Everything was like gold. I want to say Victorian. I don't know what Victorian is, but it felt like it was Victorian.
Okay. You're just
Right.
throwing a term out there.
Yeah,
I like
sounds
it.
Victorian.
Yeah,
Like if you
crown
look up a
molding, all of
Victorian-
it. Sure.
Yeah, right. So it was super,
And did you
super
tell
fancy.
Did you tell any of my stocks to do the opposite of what they've been doing, or you just left that alone?
Didn't get a chance.
Okay. So, pros playing pickleball,
Yeah.
doing an exhibition match. How many pros were there playing? Just the 4?
Yeah, so there was the 4.
'Kay.
But then after they played their exhibition, a lot of people were kind of shuffling on and off the court.
Did you get to play?
Yeah. Yeah.
Jealous.
Mm-hmm.
See, when you were doing that, I was getting a crown on my tooth that I had broken replaced so that I
Yeah.
didn't have to deal with it while I was out here. And that
Starting
was
to
why.
think your go-to excuse is always something with teeth.
Is it? What was the last time?
The last time we had to like miss an episode or delay it or something, you and I both had dental
Oh,
appointments.
yes, because that one was different. I'm gonna get Invisalign on my bottom here because it's a little crooked.
Yep.
But I broke a crown. I was eating licorice and
Yep.
probably pretty aggressively, and then all of a sudden it felt like there were rocks in my licorice, but it was just me chomping my crown. And at that point, do I swallow or do I pull it out of my mouth?
I don't know. What did you do?
I pulled it out of my mouth and
That's
threw it
good.
away.
That's a good call.
Yeah. But, I mean, maybe extra vitamins and minerals if I would have swallowed it.
Yep.
So I was doing that while you were having maybe, for you, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I think
Definitely was.
I think I'll be invited to the NYSE at some point again. So,
When we launch our own company and it IPOs.
Correct.
In a couple years here.
and then can we ding the bell in unison so that we both get the
It's gotta be
opportunity?
one person, so we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, we'll Rochambeau for it.
Yeah.
So you did that. Did you get to go up on the stage where the bell was? Because I know that there's generally like an entourage behind the ringer who was Steve Kuhn.
No. So my grandmother, my mom, my dad,
Everybody
they were texting
tuned in
me nonstop, being like, "Are you gonna be in frame?" And all I could say was, "I'm not sure." So I even asked Brooks over at Major League Pickleball, like, "Am I gonna be up like behind Steve when he rings that bell?" And he was like, "I don't know." So the whole time I'm thinking I might actually be like ringing the bell.
So who knew?
No, I don't think anybody knew.
So could you have gotten up there? Because you weren't. Because I saw your social media. You were down on the floor filming what was happening.
Right.
There wasn't a way where you're like,
Well,
I'm with them. Walk, walk, walk.
Yeah, there was like a big crew. I mean, like it was like 30, 40 people.
Mm-hmm.
A mix of pros, people who are, sponsors of MLP, the MLP crew, their agency partners, and it was a pretty good group of people involved in pickleball. So there was a lot of us. I mean, there was like an entire feast. There was obviously
I saw a nice spread.
It was great. There was obviously the court itself.
Yeah, the court looked amazing.
But there was just too many people to get everybody up there on the actual stage or whatever you call it, the platform overlooking the trading floor.
Did someone come to you and be like, "You're not coming with us up there"?
No, but I did, like, as they were determining like who was going to do it, I kind of started to
posture,
linger close to them. Maybe I'd get the call up.
Yeah,
but I started to get the sense that I wasn't going to be on the actual platform. So, but it was cool nonetheless.
But what if at that point you would have just walked up with the crew? Did they like check everybody's name off?
The old just act really confident, like you're supposed to be there.
Yeah,
pulled that a few times.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Yeah, one time I met Macklemore. I just pretended like I was supposed to be there.
Yeah, a blast from the past. Was exciting probably in the time.
Yeah, it was exciting. But ultimately, it was still like a really cool experience, and I think it was something that just like generally was monumental for the sport. And the cool part is like we're just getting started. We're still at the early stages. Pickleball is still in its infancy.
We're way ahead of the game here.
And look at where we are. I mean, this whole week in New York is absurd.
Yeah.
We're going to head over to Flushing Meadows, home of the U.S. Open here soon. There's a tournament there. There's the Major League Pickleball there. We did the stock exchange. We had an awesome event last night here at this cafe.
What happened last night? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we had a few people up there speaking. I kind of moderated, was also a speaker. But we had Eric over at New York City Pickleball, so he kind of runs the biggest pickleball community within, the biggest city in the world, which is cool because it was like pickleball was blowing up everywhere except for New York. And in my opinion, it was like that's going to be the last domino to fall, and then it's really just going to be like sky's the limit for pickleball.
What do you think it is?
I think it's like everywhere now.
What's it about New Yorkers that pickleball isn't consuming their life?
Well, usually it's like New York is like kind of on the cutting edge. They pick on the trends first, right? As much as I hate to give them the compliment.
Because you're a Los Angeles guy? What?
I'm no. That's why I would hate to give them the compliment.
Okay.
But yeah, so we had Eric on, and he gave his perspective on growth of the sport within the city.
Yeah.
We had Rob Nunnery, Irina Terashenko. We had Steve Kuhn, Ryan Harwood, who is the co-owner of the Fives, a Major League Pickleball team with Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah.
We had Tyler of ONE37pm, which is a media company under Ryan and Gary that's really involved in all of this, kind of moderating the panel. And, we had another awesome group of pickleballers and people who run businesses in pickleball and agents for some of these pros,
right.
And the pros themselves. And it was just kind of like a cool event where we were just celebrating what we've seen lately of pickleball, which has been crazy growth.
Yeah.
Right? So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I missed that too because my flight path wasn't exactly how I thought it would be, and then I was going to spend more time in Ubers to get here after it had already ended than I was on the flight from Arizona.
We had a few different people bail at the last second that were supposed to be like involved or at least there, and we had enough interesting people that we made it work. We were able to just sub people in. So it was an awesome event.
Who subbed in for me?
Well, you weren't going to be on the panel, were you?
I don't think so, but I bet somebody would have thrown me up.
Yeah,
somebody would have thrown me up there.
Yeah, right.
You know how good I am on camera.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes?
It's dependent.
Okay. On my mood?
We'll get into that.
Okay, fine. Later?
Yeah.
This weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had that, and now after this, we're going to go to the tennis center at Flushing Meadows.
Yep.
And run through tomorrow's little.
It's a rehearsal.
It's a
essentially.
rehearsal. Yeah.
One rehearsal tomorrow, or today, and then one tomorrow.
Right.
And then we have the actual event, which starts at
7.
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's 7.
It's in the evening. We will get back to you with the exact time, but you'll see it all over our social medias.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting. And Thomas and I, are with Major League Pickleball. We will be commentating for some of their events.
Yep.
We're doing the reveal here, and it's an exciting time to be us.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Sure.
I like to think of it as I'm just like riding the coattails of the of MLP.
I thought you were
and,
going to
all
say of
these
me,
people
and
doing
I was like, no,
interesting
you do
stuff.
some work too.
We just stand there and we report on it and create content about what the cool people are doing.
Yeah.
So it's been a fun little ride. We're just riding the wave.
Yeah, we are riding the wave, but it's very exciting. Anything else you're looking forward to this weekend? I mean, the APP is also happening.
Yeah, right.
At the event at the same time.
Singles happened yesterday.
Yeah. Any surprises?
Yeah, Paris Todd had a good win over Anna Bright, so she'll be at Championship Sunday.
Versus?
She'll be playing, and I'm going to butcher this name, Salome Davidzi.
Uh-huh.
And
I think you got that right.
I actually do not know much about her.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, it's like two kind of newish.
But Paris has had some, she had a singles victory last week, right?
Yeah, but still kind of like recently became a name that
on the
people are
scene.
like, oh, who's this having some success?
But that's the beauty of pickleball. I think we're in an era now where true athletes are looking at the sport as a viable
tennis athletes
option to become a pro. It's like, I mean, when you look at United States sports in general, athletes are driven to certain sports.
Yep.
And the more popular pickleball becomes, the more likely we're going to have these young athletes coming into the sport and that have specifically chosen pickleball as their avenue.
Yeah. Well, I
And-
think we talked about this before, but it's much, much easier to break into the singles than it is to become a successful doubles player.
Right now.
Yeah, and I mean that's what we're seeing. We're seeing it reflected in these standings and in these interesting matchups on Championship Sunday with players who are relatively new on the scene. But there's still a huge barrier to entry for doubles, and I mean, we've talked about it. The specialization is here, and it's starting to be more prevalent.
Yeah.
In that the same people are typically in the doubles finals and kind of making it deep into the draw. And we're seeing newer faces just basically come over from like high-level tennis.
Yeah.
And it's an easy transition for them. Singles pickleball is mini tennis.
It is. And I think also with the paddle technology, what it is right now, that also even mimics tennis a little bit even more now with hard hits and the spin and be able to bring the ball down and
the
everything.
Thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take real tennis forehands, and I think that's changing the game.
Okay.
Yeah. It's harder to do that in doubles, though,
Yeah.
just given the court coverage. But
Yeah, it is. It's a different game with the fast volleys and the precise dinking. What else we got to talk about?
Well, we can talk a little bit more about like the actual draft show tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I think what we've learned is they are going to reveal the number 1 picks across the board. And then after that, they're going to go team by team, fill in each of the teams, and we'll be doing an analysis on that team. Have they played together before? Do they have chemistry?
Yes.
What are their strengths?
Right.
What are their weaknesses?
Explore their duper rating.
What is the duper?
Yeah.
How does that compare to the field?
Do you know how I improve my duper?
How?
I drink Relight.
Yeah.
The number 1 electrolyte
Does that work for you?
mix in the game.
Tell me about it.
So it has.
And I'm going to try and drink this coffee without shaking.
It has
and
10 times
spilling
more electrolytes than the leading brand, which is what your body is sweating out. So you're replenishing exactly what you're sweating out in an hour, and it's awesome. So it keeps me on the court longer, feeling fresher for longer, especially in the heat, in the summer heat. And you can get yours at Relight's website and use Pickleball in checkout for a 15% off discount. And if you happen to be in the tennis center in Flushing Meadows and see me, I have single samples in my bag, hand out to whoever wants them, and it will elevate your game. It elevates mine.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Breaking news.
Free hydration from Tyson if you find him at the tournament.
Yes.
So you're not playing, though?
I'm not playing. Should we be playing?
I
Are
don't
you
know.
playing?
I am not playing.
Yeah. No, I'm not playing either. I am going purely as a personality and a spectator, but I did bring my paddle just so I could see, like, if your
Yeah,
skills...
I've got my paddle, so we can go play.
Yeah.
I do want to play. I played the other day with Megan Charity and Rosie. I can't remember her last name, but she is pretty solid.
Shout out to all the Rosies.
Yeah. I guess. Her and Megan Charity played, or are playing, I think tomorrow, women's doubles together. And
Yeah.
I think they're a pretty strong team. And then we played with Eric over at New York City Pickleball. So some solid stuff.
You hear that sweet New York City background
Yeah,
going
this
on?
is
I love
very
it.
New York.
I
this
love
is-
it.
This is what you would expect.
When I listen to podcasts that are recorded here, this happens all the time, so I'm super stoked.
Yeah, it makes you like sound official.
Yeah.
And then we have the window. Some people are
We've
like
made it.
peeking in
Yeah.
curiously, like, who are these guys? Are they important?
Oh,
It's like
one of us
50%
is.
of us are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that. Let you decide, as the audience, which of the two we're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the draft is going to be very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, do we already know the Major League Pickleball schedule, or am I spoiling it by saying where we will be next weekend?
No, we know. Yeah.
We'll be in Austin next weekend.
Yeah. I think that's public information.
Yeah.
We've definitely put it in our newsletter.
Does that mean another live recording like we're doing now in person?
It could mean that.
I
Yeah.
think we will. And yeah.
Here's the goal for next week, though. So we'll have to figure out how to navigate this, because if you read the newsletter, you might have tuned in because we were going to have that Sports Illustrated writer on, the one who wrote the controversial, I would say, article on the PPA, APP,
Controversial,
MLP,
ill-informed.
IFP,
Yeah.
USAP. You know, they try to give a synopsis of the competing bodies within the sport, and I think they definitely missed some things and had some questionable sources, which, if you just look up some of those sources, you'll see that they are controversial in themselves, and also aren't as informed as I think a source should be for a comprehensive Sports Illustrated piece.
Yes.
So we sort of are using somebody else's equipment today. Thought we could kind of just like bridge them in easily. Ended up being a little bit more complicated. And we're not tech guys, so we're going to push that one to next week.
Maybe. But
will
now if
have-
we're going to be in person next week in Austin, and I have this same similar equipment set up, so that will be easy.
But we'll have more time to troubleshoot. I think we could figure it out.
Could we? Do we want to?
I'd like to talk to him.
Yeah, but we could push it even one more week.
Yeah. So let's talk about this article. What's kind of your knee-jerk reaction? What'd you think of it?
I thought it was probably a little bit of a hit piece from the sources and the author, and probably the author has not ever played pickleball, was my take on it.
Yeah.
And it was more of more of like a purist tennis player stance on the sport of pickleball.
Yeah, the voice was implying that pickleball is sort of this like goofy thing that's like a mess, and they can't. And he rightfully called it growing pains, which is what I think they are.
Okay.
And I think we'll have more growing pains. But it did seem interesting that it was like every source he went to, he like coaxed them into kind of not speaking highly of the other organizations.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of what he cherry picked. So it was sort of like a mudslinging
Yeah.
fest within that article. And
Did you
I don't
talk
know.
to any of the sources afterwards?
yeah, I did.
And what was their general feeling of the
thought
article?
they just thought it was unfair.
Okay. So
And
that
I
was the
think-
general consensus of the article, of the sources cited in there.
Yeah, but
most
like,
of them were like,
so, yeah. Well, so this guy's a writer for Sports Illustrated, right?
but contracted. Or,
contracted, right? So for him, it's just about how do we get clicks? How do we make this thing as like salacious as possible?
yeah, clickbaity.
And that's, in my opinion, what he did. And he decided not to kind of highlight all the positives of pickleball
Yeah.
and all the amazing things that are happening. And he was like
Like this
I know how
right
to
here.
get clicks.
Yeah.
Let's just make it seem like this drama fest that is, a mess, and that's what came through in the article, and I think it could have been better.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of awesome things going on in pickleball.
I mean, we just talked about your week here in New York.
It's
pretty
crazy.
awesome.
With all of this happening, you go for kind of like the I don't know, like the reality TV aspect, if you will.
Well, and also, like, I went to a wedding. This right now seems off topic. I went to a wedding last week. I was sat at a table with a woman who is a very big tennis fan.
Yep.
So much so that she refuses to even try pickleball. She refuses to watch any pickleball.
Yeah.
She refuses to, like, educate herself on what's happening in the game. And she, even to the point where, like, multiple people at the table were pickleball players, and we were talking about it, and she was like, I refuse to try pickleball.
Right.
But those people will be gone soon.
Well, as soon as somebody convinces them to get on the court,
Yeah.
that opinion's going to change instantly.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Also, they should welcome pickleball. I know many people who have gotten back on the tennis court because they started playing pickleball.
I thought of getting a tennis
Myself
racket.
included.
Yeah. Should I get a tennis racket again?
Yeah. Were you a good tennis player?
No. I mean, I was okay, but it was when I was, like, under 15.
Yeah, you were a junior.
Yes. So I
A
traveled
young man
around with
coming up, trying to
make it in this crazy
navigate
world
your-
of tennis. Yeah. I played probably 2 or 3 years, and then the last time I swung a tennis racket was probably 10 or 15 years ago in Switzerland. I used to play a little bit with a couple guys there.
Okay.
So
I like it.
but the first time I picked up a tennis racket again in that time in Switzerland, I had one of the sickest serves I've ever had. First time hitting the ball in, like, since I was like 15 in the early 90s. And I was stoked. I was like, oh, I still got this. This
Still
is
got it.
easy. And then I could not hit a serve again after that. Just like the stars had aligned. It was like the luckiest thing I'd done. And still proud of that one serve.
I kind of feel that way when I go back on a tennis court. The one thing that I can still do is get a decent serve in.
Well, I just got one decent serve in. I haven't been able to repeat.
What I can no longer do is my two-handed backhand. It has vanished.
Okay. Who
But
cares?
I've recently brought that back into pickleball.
Yeah, who cares? Because pickleball's the future, bro.
Yeah. Well, here's. Do you want to hear about the advantages of a two-handed backhand in pickleball? Mm-hmm. You have way more control. On the drops, you are able to be more precise, so that it's kind of like a rolling. Because it's tougher to put, like, the topspin on a one-handed backhand.
Yeah.
But once you throw that second hand on, you have more control. You're able to put that topspin on there. And I've also found that I'm much, much quicker with, like, my reflexes. So when I'm at the net and somebody decides they're going to challenge me to my backhand, which people tend to do, kind of giving away my secrets here,
Yes.
my weaknesses.
Yeah.
I have fixed that. I have turned that into a strength. So, play it to my backhand at your own risk. I have a two-handed backhand now. I feel like Ben Johns sometimes, and I think it helps a ton. And then I've also...
Isn't Riley Newman the one famous for the two-handed backhand?
Yeah, but his is not like a tennis two-handed backhand. It's super unique.
Okay.
He's doing something very, very different.
What's
I
he
don't
doing?
even know how to describe
Is he
it.
pushing the ball more?
Yeah, it's more of like a push.
'Kay.
Yeah, it's not like the big looping like tennis
Swing.
backhand,
Yeah.
right? But it's switching to a two-handed backhand has also opened up a drive from the baseline with my backhand. Which
Yeah.
previously I would just hit this like sort of looping backhand slice and just
Yeah.
try and drop it in the kitchen like
Yes.
Matt Wright, and that's all I would do.
Okay.
So now I don't have to like try and run around my backhand. If somebody wants to play it there, I can actually hit a decent drive. And I think most people who make that switch feel that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I switched to my newest paddle. It's the Gamma 405 with the longer handles, and a lot of companies are coming out with a little bit longer handle to be able to put two hands on the handle.
Yeah.
And so I think if that's what you want to do, find a paddle that works for you that has a longer handle, and that's the secret.
Yeah. A lot of people say, how do you do it without having a longer handle? And it is a little bit weird. It's
Yeah.
like my pointer finger ends up going onto the paddle face.
Yes, I've done that as well.
And that actually adds a little bit of control. I think if you ask a lot of the pros, one of the things that Anna Lee does specifically is she puts that pointer finger. She's, basically like, the top fourth of her hand is on the paddle face. And that adds like an element of control. So.
If I'm defending a smash from the baseline and it comes to my backhand, I do put my hand on the paddle on the back of the hand, and that is like helps me lift the ball a little bit and maybe either go for a lob if I have to.
And that's usually like an instinctual play. Your instincts are telling you, hey, this ball's coming at me fast. We need to slow it down. We need to reset this thing. And your brain says, we need two hands.
Yeah, which is crazy because that's built into our DNA somehow from being human millions of years ago. They just knew that pickleball was going to be a thing, and then all of a sudden our human instincts are to get a hand on the paddle. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something like that.
Science. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's very scientific.
Yeah.
We do a lot of science here on the Pickle Pod, as everybody knows.
Yeah, well, our sister podcast, which is also hosted by Thomas and I, is called Scientific Americans.
Yeah.
I just came up with that.
I know you did.
It was a play on the publication Scientific American.
I actually don't know that publication.
Oh, okay. Well, what else do we have, Thomas? Anything else?
Well, we have a little bit of an update on this whole Paddlegate thing.
Ooh. Okay.
So I think CRBN has worked out something with USA Pickleball, and that their next batch of paddles will be sort of like, I guess, reinstated, if you will, on the approved list.
Okay.
And they're going to kind of take some measures to make it right with their customers who ended up with one of the paddles in violation, one of those models.
Okay.
They're also adding a serial number to each paddle so that they can better track
what is legal and what is not.
Yeah, right, which is interesting.
I like it. Kind of makes it could be a collector's thing too. If you're adding a serial number to every paddle.
Yeah, who gets like 00001?
It's probably in the office, like shadow box somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I bought the first GoPro drone, and they recalled it. And you know what they did? They gave me a free camera.
That's good customer service right there.
Yeah, it's really good customer service. So they gave me my money back for the drone, took the drone away, sent me a camera.
Yeah.
And I don't think that CRBN makes cameras, but, maybe take a page from GoPro's book. Make customers happy. This is the moment to make your customers happy who might feel a little slighted.
Yeah.
So, cool. Good for CRBN.
Mm-hmm.
Remedied it really quickly, actually, and I'm glad that it doesn't seem like this pushed them out of the game, because this was definitely a devastating blow for a startup company, right?
For sure.
And so glad that CRBN is still here because they are pushing some boundaries and
this
stuff.
will ultimately benefit them.
Yeah. You think?
I think so. Assuming they can stay on the approved list.
Yeah. Okay.
It also shed light on the fact that USA Pickleball needs to tighten it up, figure it out.
Tighten it up or loosen it up. That's the only two ways to go.
Yeah, right.
Don't pick and choose.
Well, so tighten it up meaning just get a better process, one that's reliable.
But also, you need to make sure that all the paddles are approved all the way through all the time, like if that's the case.
Yeah.
So
there needs to be equal scrutiny across the board.
Correct. For every rule.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But if you just read that Sports Illustrated article, there's a lot of disorganization within USA Pickleball, IFP, all these different organizations, and so that and there is truth to a lot of that.
Yeah. And we've already seen that with some of the different, like the PPA uses a little bit different rules for play than the APP, and some are using the USA Pickleball rules, and some aren't fully embracing those. And so I think that will probably continue to exist because each tour is going to decide what is the most exciting and beneficial for them. Mm-hmm. And so as a pro, if you're switching between tours, you may need to learn to play a little bit different depending on which rule book you're following.
Mm-hmm.
So,
can I tell you a little bit about FitAid?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
And then you think of the next topic while I'm reading this.
Okay.
We'll see how good I am at reading this. So this episode brought to you by FitAid. Fit Aid Energy boosts the original sports recovery ingredients in Fit Aid with 200 milligrams of clean caffeine from green tea. Green tea extract. So it's
Healthy.
clean. It's clean. It has branch chain amino acids, turmeric, electrolytes, vitamins, and clean caffeine, as we already said.
BCAAs.
They come together in 4 deliciously electric flavors that are naturally sweetened with only 15 calories. It's pretty good. I just told you I like to eat healthy.
Yeah.
15 calories, that's pretty good. It's a performance energy drink for athletes, fitness buffs, or anyone looking for a clean, effective boost, or maybe some podcast hosts like us.
Mm-hmm.
Visit lifeaidbevco.com today, and you can save 20% and get free shipping on your first order. Plus, with our exclusive coupon code, DINK20, DINK all caps, 20, one word, if you will, at checkout. That's lifeaidbevco.com and code DINK20 for 20% off plus fast free shipping. The future of energy drinks is here. Welcome to Energy 3.0.
The future.
I do love that line.
3.0.
Yeah.
And you just had that all memorized? That's crazy that you did that like that.
Wild, right?
Yeah. Next topic.
I want to talk a little bit about Duper as well.
Oh, okay. Right now?
Yeah.
Who has the higher duper rating, me or you?
When was the last time you checked? Mine's higher for sure.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but it's decaying, right? So it's
does it decay over time?
Because I'm not playing. Yeah, it's this thing about the half-life in Duper. It's like if you're not out there on the court, there's going to be some erosion in your rating.
Because mine was like at a 4.8 or 4.9.
Yeah. There's like a recency bias too, right? So if you enter a good result, you're going to jump right back up.
So what if...
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Maybe you have me beat. Well, I'll just concede to you. We don't have to look it up. Mm-hmm. But Duper is a way that it's genderless ratings based on your skill in tournaments specifically, but I think you can also plug in matches like rec matches versus people who are also on Duper. Is that incorrect of me?
Yep.
That's correct. And one of the interesting things this week when we start breaking down Major League Pickleball is that each of these pros does have a Duper rating that we can look and see, and I think a very, very high percentage of matches go the way the Duper rating
Numbers don't lie.
have dictated. So if you're moneyballing pickleball,
Yep.
Duper's the best resource.
Yep. So we're going to have to, if we decide that we're going to depart from the Duper predictions for tomorrow's draft, as we go through the teams.
I'm departing from it.
We are challenging math. Do you think you're smarter than math?
I mean, where's my math teacher right now?
Yeah, you might be.
Yeah. There's going to be other factors and variables than just math.
For sure. And here's the thing. It's like, so the Dupers might say one thing, but the way the teams decide to structure themselves.
Correct.
Right? Like if you, like, let's just say we're going to throw two, no, I'm not going to use any names. You have two top players.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're drafted on the same team.
Correct.
Your knee-jerk reaction might be like, oh my God, they're going to be an unbelievable and unstoppable, maybe like men's doubles team or women's doubles or mixed doubles team. But then you think about like, well, there's also two, in theory, based on Duper, weaker players on the team. So you're not going to just pair the best two players. Maybe you will.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to probably do some sort of shuffling between the strongest and the weakest and then the two middle players and kind of structure things differently depending on who you're playing as well, right? So there's going to be a lot of variation.
I think that if you're looking at the teams across the board and there's two stronger and two weaker, you're almost, I would say, I'm predicting every single team's going to pair a strong and a weak player, just the way the doubles moves on the court with the stronger player taking more of the middle and pushing. So I think that's the way the game moves anyways.
Yeah. I think...
You think we're going to see some matchups where a team chooses the two strongest to partner?
Yeah, like if you're... Yeah, I mean... It depends, right? It depends on how they've been playing up to this point.
And it depends on who, I guess,
on their record. Yeah. If there's like certain chemistry between two players that it's like you got to go with this chemistry, like that's what they're going to prioritize because that makes a huge difference.
Chemistry.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I think, and I want to say this point on camera tomorrow during the broadcast, so do not steal my idea from me.
Okay.
But you're talking about chemistry of people who have played before and who have experience playing together. Also, what if you and I are doubles partners in life? But
Aren't we?
we are. But on Major League Pickleball, we get drafted on separate teams. But I am much more familiar with your game and can weaponize it against you when I match up.
Definitely.
That's also going to be something that I think is going to be fun to watch at Major League Pickleball is people are going to be playing opposite who they normally play on the same side with, and how will they leverage that knowledge of their partner's game?
For sure. There's also an advantage to kind of being like an underdog. Like maybe your duper's one of the lower ones, and you're sort of playing with nothing to lose.
And you're on the rise as well.
And maybe you have more unorthodox or less predictable tendencies because you've played less pro pickleball.
People haven't seen you.
And it sort of throws a curveball to maybe the more experienced player on the other side of the net.
Yeah.
And that actually, so that inexperience actually ends up benefiting you and your team. And
Do we call that?
That's real.
Do we call that the Lee Whitwell effect?
Yeah, I would say.
Last year's MVP at MLP, and she was one of the last chosen and lit it up.
Yep.
And every highlight reel I see out of Major League Pickleball event from last year is Lee Whitwell driving
Well,
it.
she was also just like super entertaining and like had a funny comment every point.
Yeah.
And
a
even when
fun
it came down to
accent.
singles, and a fun accent. Yeah, she's made for content.
She's got it all going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
So,
well, shout out Lee Whitwell.
Mm-hmm.
We should see her this weekend. I noticed she was at the stock exchange with you.
Yeah.
Probably buying
she
up.
was like emceeing part of it.
Buying up stocks at rock bottom. Classic.
Yeah, I think she was. Announcing like as they were playing.
Yeah, I saw
On
her
the
with the
live stream.
headset and everything. So
Yeah.
Cool. We have any other talking points before we head over to the tennis center?
No, I don't think so. Actually,
I don't
we
think so
did
either.
A good like little run through of everything that's going on, and we'll have a lot to talk about next week. Once we actually know what the teams are going to be.
Yeah.
We've revealed that.
Yes.
We start to think about, who's the top dog. I have my predictions.
Yeah.
And I think the best part about tomorrow is I have reasons for why I think certain teams are going to do really well.
Yeah.
That I think might surprise you. So I doubt that we'll sort of end up having the same horse in the race.
Yes. I hope not, because it's always fun to, watch things and cheer for things differently.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that being said, let's wrap it up here. And Thomas, I will see you in the Uber ride from here to the tennis center immediately as soon as we stop recording.
Yeah. Can we walk out together?
Yeah, we probably can.
Okay, very cool.
Okay, cool. Thanks, dude.
We'll see you guys next week.
This is the Voices of Pickleball, Pickle Pod.
Later.